Really, I just have never really felt so sure about something. And I also don't want to jinx.
She asked me out.
What? It was crazy. It was crazy.
No!
It was crazy.
Benny Blanco.
One caption, millions of screenshots. Even SCA admitted she panicked. For a few wild hours, the internet decided Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco had already tied the knot. And then the truth snapped back, louder than the rumor. If a simple post can melt timelines, imagine what the real day will do. Here's the problem. Everyone thinks they know the date, the town, the guest list, and who's holding the bouquet. Some of it's real, some of it's recycled gossip with a fresh coat of paint. And in the middle of it all is a couple trying to plan
who's most likely to, couples edition. Who's most likely to fall asleep during a movie.
something personal while the world treats it like a stadium show. So let's sort it out. What's confirmed, what's whispered, and what detail would actually prove the wedding is locked? Because once you know the one sign to watch for, the noise gets quiet and the story gets clear. Screenshots don't lie until they do. The post that sent timelines into chaos wasn't a secret ceremony. It was a friend's wedding, a happy night out where Selena and Benny showed up as guests, and for once, let everyone see how comfortable they've become together.
Benny and I, we've been together for a year now.
It's actually been 364 days.
That's why you saw hand-holding, hugs, and the kind of easy smiles that make people jump to conclusions. Even the comment section went into overdrive. One famous friend admitted she panicked, thinking the vows had already happened. The truth is simpler. No aisle, no officiant, no sudden switch from fiancés to newlyweds. Just a public moment that looked a little too perfect. And that's the real tell. If a single carousel can make fans think they missed the wedding, imagine the pressure building around the event itself. Because this wasn't the main act.
I think people's biggest problems, especially men, are that we don't listen all the time. You gotta listen.
It was a preview of how loud the reaction will be when the date is real, the location is set, and the inner circle starts moving like clockwork. Which raises the next question. How did we get from a quiet proposal to a ring that changed the timeline? And what does that ring actually say about the plan ahead? The ring said everything before she did. One photo, a slim marquise catching the light, and the internet built a timeline overnight. Quiet proposal, louder confirmation, and a relationship that shifted from
how did you get a woman like Selena Gomez to date you? For real. And I mean that with every sense of my being. I lost a lot of respect for her.
Are they to they are without a press release. It wasn't grand theater. It felt like something they would have done even if no one was watching. Private, a little playful, exactly their pace. From there, the rhythm changed. Public sightings went from rare to warm and unforced. He looked like home base. She looked relieved to stop pretending this was casual. The captions got bolder, the comments sweeter, and the ring became less of a headline and more of a habit. Always there, always saying, this is real.
Today I'm going to let my fiance do my makeup using Rearview. Hi!
Where do I...
It didn't end the speculation, but it did move the story out of rumor and into chapter 2, planning. And planning is where the romance meets the calendar. Families compare dates, work wraps, friends ask where to be and when. Suddenly a love story has spreadsheets, and every tiny choice, music, flowers, seating, feels like a statement. That's why outside noise gets so loud. People mistake logistics for drama. The truth is simpler. They got engaged, they stayed steady, and now they're building a day that feels like them.
When
guys,
Benny
today
looks
we're
at me, I
making
don't
a-
think
well,
he
today we're making a
sees
pistachio
anything
caramel
but who
tiramisu.
I am,
innocent.
and that's
It smells
very
like-
Which brings us to the only part anyone cares about. Next, what the actual plan looks like when whispers turn into a weekend. Here's the shape of the rumor everyone keeps repeating. A coastal weekend in Montecito, late September air, and a schedule that feels less like a ceremony and more like a curated escape. Think welcome evening, vows the next day, recovery brunch after. Nothing about that is official, but it tracks with how they've moved so far. Private first, pretty later. Montecito makes sense for another reason: control.
Okay, what is your partner's sexiest feature? I think your eyes.
I can't say mine for you, but
Okay.
yeah.
Fewer roads in, fewer eyes, and venues that can lock down a perimeter without turning the whole thing into a fortress. The hush everyone's noticing isn't just romance. It's logistics. When a single caption can set off a news cycle, you start planning like every detail could leak. That's why the behind-the-scenes talk sounds unusually tactical. Code names on vendor lists, day of phone pouches, staggered shuttles so nobody clocks the timing, decoy floral drops to throw off TikTok sleuths, and
now that the album's done, do we move on to wedding planning now? Is that the...
No, I'm actually shooting season 5 of Only Murder.
NDAs that live on paper and in people's heads. Not because it's dramatic, because any celebrity wedding that isn't airtight becomes content for strangers. The timing is the only part that still feels fluid. Work calendars don't care about centerpieces. Projects wrap when they wrap. If the date lands inside that Montecito window, it'll be because the schedule finally stopped arguing. When that happens, the tells will be subtle. Unusual hotel blackouts, trucks that arrive at night.
He almost leaked it, like once. The perfume in the interview, and you were like, "Oh, can I talk about?" And I was like,
and best friends who suddenly go quiet. All of which creates a different problem entirely. When your guest list is practically its own red carpet, privacy and timing stop being preferences and start being security plans. And that's where this story gets complicated. When one friend can shut down a street just by stepping out of the car, plus one turns into a security plan. That's the math here. The rumored guest list isn't just famous, it's kinetic. If even a handful of those names show,
Selena Gomez was spotted having a relaxed dinner with her fiancé Benny Blanco and a few friends in Los Angeles on Friday.
arrivals have to look like choreography. Cars staggered to the minute, decoys looping the block, outfits hidden until the moment the photographer can't get a clean angle. High-watt guests bend everything around them. Seating stops being sentimental and starts being strategy. Who won't spark a headline if they end up at the same table? Who can handle a camera pointed at them all night? Who needs a path to the exit? That doesn't become a TikTok. Even phones become a variable. You don't just collect them.
All right, Swifties, I'm gonna need you to weigh in because I'm hearing a decently juicy rumor about Taylor, but
You create safe pockets for the people who trade on social, quick booths where they can take a sanctioned selfie, post it later, keep the mystery now. And the timing has to be ruthless. If one stadium-filling pop star or a certain championship-winning boyfriend lands late, the whole schedule slips, and the internet decides that chaos means crisis. That's why the people running this kind of night plan the quiet moments as carefully as the loud ones. A first look the world won't see.
Selena really loved Benny as much as we think she does because in these clips, his face shows otherwise. Anytime she's asked about their wedding,
a room reset between courses. A playlist that manages the crowd without feeling managed. Stack enough of those choices, and an ordinary rumor starts to sound believable, which is exactly how the next storyline takes root, the one tabloids love most. Turn every logistical decision into a sign that the bride is cracking under pressure. Headlines love a meltdown. It's cleaner to sell bride unraveling than the boring truth that big events are just complicated. From the outside, date holds and vendor swaps read like panic.
You know, I never cared about marriage. This wasn't a thing in my head. She cared about it so much, so I said, well, now I...
Inside, they look like what they are. Two people with careers, families, and 1,000 moving parts steering toward one weekend without turning it into a circus. That's not drama, that's project management with flowers. Indecision is an easy label when you only see the last version of a choice. Change the entree, must be chaos. Switch the aisle song, she's flip-flopping. But anyone who's planned anything knows the difference between waffling and iterating. You try a look, you live with it for a day, you pick the one that still feels like you in the morning.
Fans are saying now they understand Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco. A bunch of old pictures of Benny have come out, or they're just being more noticed now.
If anything, the refusals matter more than the yeses. Saying no is how you keep a personal day from becoming a public event. There's also a gap between what fans expect and what reality allows. Calendars collide, albums drop, shoots run long. The internet treats a wedding like a live stream. Real life treats it like a weekend you're allowed to protect. That's why the tone around them has stayed surprisingly steady. The public moments are warm, the private planning stays private, and the only message that leaks is the one they choose.
Selena Gomez's boyfriend Benny Blanco is currently getting an unbelievable amount of hate all across social media. Now
we're excited, we're not rushing, and we're making this ours. The pressure story sells because it flatters our curiosity. But look closer and you see something quieter. Two people building a small, controlled space inside a very loud world. That's not a crack. That's a boundary. And once those boundaries are set, the conversation shifts from centerpieces and seating charts to the question everyone keeps tiptoeing around. What comes after the vows? And how much of that will they let the world see? The internet loves to skip chapters. If the vows are coming, then kids must be next, right? That's the narrative. Here's what's real. He said out loud that he wants to be a dad someday. No countdown, no deadline, just a hope. She shared pieces of her health story on her own terms. Lupus, a transplant, mental health she's been brave about. Those facts live in her words, not in rumor threads. The rest, how, when, or even if they grow their family, isn't for strangers to solve. What we can actually see is simpler.
Can we talk about all the speculation that's going on right now with Benny Blanco and Selena Gomez? A lot of people are starting to say that Selena...
He steadies the room around her. She gives him credit for calm. Their public moments feel like two people building a life that isn't performative, just steady. Options exist for any path, now, later, or never. And the only timeline that matters is the one they choose. And if you want a better read on where they are, don't stare at ring angles or baby guesses. Look at the circle around them. Who shows up? Who goes quiet? Because the next clues won't come from a tabloid. They'll come from a shifting guest list that says more than any caption ever could.
I believe that this relationship is not going to work, no matter how good Benny Blanco is, and no matter what he does to sacrifice for Selena Gomez.
Circles rarely implode with fireworks. They thin, widen, and quietly redraw. One season, it's matching tattoos and weekend trips. The next, it's messages answered 3 days late and a birthday caption that's sweet, but short. When you're planning a wedding under a spotlight, that natural drift starts to look like evidence. Every seat you fill becomes a thesis. Every seat you don't becomes a thread. The algorithm loves neat stories. Besties turned strangers, strangers turned bridesmaids. But real life edits slower. Friendships run on tiny choices stacked over months. Who you text first when a plan changes, who you vent to when a vendor flakes, who hears the date before it has a venue. The internet squints at likes and unlikes. The truth lives in calendars and kitchen tables. If someone moves from comments to errands, from selfies to showing up early to help fold place cards, that's closeness you can't fake. Weddings make those shifts visible because the weekend has jobs no one sees. There's the friend who knows your taste better than the Pinterest board and quietly handles the playlist.
What is your partner's best feature? Well, I can't say mine for you. That your ex is Justin. Who takes the longest?
No bangers that drown the vows. No sad ballads that stall the room. There's the one who keeps a short, ruthless list of moments that should never hit the feed and a gentle way of saying, not yet. There's the cousin-level friend who becomes logistics, control, directing grandparents to the good seats, and making sure the person who gets overwhelmed has a place to breathe. These roles don't trend. They matter more than any viral toast.
I'm gonna need Selena to step up and show us what her engagement ring looks like. Cause I know that heart was placed extraordinarily strategically. I also know.
Then there are the buffers, the human soft barriers that let the couple have a private hour inside a public day. One friend steers conversation when a camera drifts too close. Another walks a surprise guest through a side entrance, so the arrival doesn't steal the ceremony's air. Someone else intercepts the well-meaning acquaintance with a rumor they're dying to confirm and offers them a drink, a chair, and a reason to forget the question. It reads like choreography because it is, but underneath it is a simple promise. I'll take the angle so you can keep the moment. As the date approaches, even the warmest connections can cool at the edges without turning into enemies. Space gets scarce. Rehearsal dinner chairs are finite. You're forced to choose between people you adore and the quiet the weekend needs. The healthy friendships understand and adapt. They don't keep score over who gets Friday access or a Sunday brunch slot. They text, "Tell me what you need," instead of, "Why not me?" That's not distance. That's maturity disguised as patience. Public signals confuse the story because they're optimized for applause, not accuracy.
Selena Gomez 2025 prediction. DM me to order your personal reading, allegedly for entertainment purposes only.
A friend can post nothing and still be everything. Another can post everything and, for this moment, be almost nothing. The tells that matter are humble. Did they reschedule a big thing to make the weekend? Do they know how to vanish when the camera would complicate a feeling? Are they comfortable not being tagged because the memory isn't for the grid? Those questions highlight real friends from real life ones. You'll also see the short-term role players who step in just for the season.
Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco, engagement, love, romance, psychic reading, everything.
They aren't lifelong constants, but right now they're indispensable. The coworker who translates production chaos into wedding calm. The neighbor who knows the local vendors and can fix a floral emergency with 2 calls. The actor friend who can MC a room without turning it into a show about themselves. When the weekend ends, some of these ties will float back to acquaintance level. That doesn't make them transactional, it makes them timely. Inevitably, a few people will read boundaries as betrayal. An unreturned text, a missed +1.
Selena Gomez herself is responding to the rumors that her and Benny Blanco broke up because Benny...
A photo that looks like replacement instead of rotation. These are the sparks tabloids adore. But boundary setting is how a couple keeps the weekend humane. You can't invite every chapter of your life to stand on the same page. If the friendship is real, it survives the edit. If it was built on mutual convenience, it dissolves without a fight and without a villain. The most reliable map of a circle is the off-camera itinerary. Who lands 2 days early to help label boxes and choose napkins by feel? Who runs airport pickups at dawn because the family's red eye got rerouted?
You got engaged.
Oh, I did get
That's
engaged.
huge.
I did get engaged. That's true.
Amazing.
I know.
One of the songs, I believe, was
Who stays late after brunch, hairpinned and shoes off, packing glassware into crates while the venue turns the lights to work mode? Those names may never appear in a caption. They'll be the ones the couple thanks first when the room is quiet. There's also a subtle kindness to how strong circles protect the couple from their own impulses. A good friend says no to the second speech when the first was perfect. They veto the late-night post that would invite the wrong kind of attention. They steer the dance floor away from a song that would wake up history.
Okay, guys. So, there's a little album coming out,
None of this is controlling. It's the opposite. It's trust that says, you've got bigger things to feel tonight. Let me handle the noise. When the weekend finally hits, guest lists speak louder than theories. The row that looks like a reunion tells one story. The row that looks entirely new tells another. The toast that lands like a secret kept for years can close a chapter more elegantly than a press note ever could. A hug at the exit, held an extra beat while cameras shuffle, can announce a thaw without a single word.
And now you're planning the wedding, and I'm sure the music's going to be amazing.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely.
The people who were supposed to be there will be there. The ones who weren't will find the message in the silence. And if you're looking for the cleanest indicator of where everything stands, don't chase the fireworks. Watch the edges. See who's in comfortable flats at midnight stacking chairs so the couple doesn't have to. Notice who disappears when the photographers arrive and reappears when the room needs water and calm. Track who stays present after the weekend.
And you're engaged.
Yeah, I am. I'm very, very happy.
And are you excited?
The check-ins when the flowers are gone and the inbox is full again. That's the aftercare that turns a loud moment into a durable life. Which is why the final stretch before the vows isn't about proving anything to watchers. It's about constructing a circle that can hold the day without leaking it to the timeline. Do that right, and the rumors lose oxygen. Do it carelessly, and strangers narrate your memories for you. The next part of this story is simple once you sort the noise. What's locked, what's likely, and what's just wish casting.
When was her wedding?
It was in May of last year.
Who's Millie Bobby Brown?
Name those clearly, and the picture snaps into focus. Exactly where we're headed now. Strip the story down, and 3 layers remain. First, the bedrock. The engagement is real, the ring is not a rumor, and their public energy has settled into something steady. When she talks about it, she sounds calm and sure. When they show up together, it reads like a couple building a life, not a headline. Next, the strong but not official. A coastal California weekend makes sense for privacy, for proximity, for control.
All right, babe, come try.
I don't want to. I'm not gonna like this.
A 2-day flow feels right. Welcome, vows, recovery. Security will be heavier than most people realize because leaks turned planning into defense. An A-list turnout is probable, not because a list leaked, but because their circle naturally draws gravity. All of that holds until they decide it doesn't. And then there's the static. Exact bridal party roles, minute-by-minute timelines, who sits where, who's out this month, who's in next.
Selena Gomez herself is responding to the rumors that her and Benny Blanco broke up because Benny...
Most of that is fan fiction with nice lighting. The she's spiraling narrative sells because it's easy. Real planning looks like steady edits, not a collapse. Future family guesses belong to the couple, not the comments section. If a claim needs a villain to be interesting, it's probably built for clicks, not truth. So how do you read the next month without chasing ghosts? Watch for quiet receipts, not loud captions. Unusual hotel blackouts in the same pocket of town. Trucks that arrive after midnight and leave before dawn.
Just listen. If a girl is getting frustrated with you on something, she's definitely told you multiple times, and you're just not paying attention.
Vendors who suddenly go radio silent. Best friends posting less, traveling more, and smiling without telling you where they are. The day won't announce itself with a drum roll. It will tip its hand with logistics. That's the filter. Hold every new scoop against it, and most of the noise evaporates. Which brings us to the only ending that matters. Why one clean sign is worth more than 1,000 theories, and what that sign will look like when it finally appears.
Don't know if I should do that, but I genuinely just watched. It just happened. I think when you know and...
When you peel away the captions, the theories, and the friend of a friend whispers, the picture is simple. 2 people who chose each other, moving at their own speed, building one weekend that feels like theirs in a world that wants to borrow it. The engagement is fact. The affection is obvious. Everything else is moving pieces. Important to them, interesting to us, but not proof of anything until they decide it is. If you're trying to read the next chapter, ignore the noise and follow the quiet. travel patterns that don't brag.
Whims in the middle of the night, bringing her spaghetti when she so desires, making her champagne baths, nacho cheese bath.
Vendors who stop teasing, a sudden stillness from the inner circle. Big moments don't shout, they tighten. And when it's real, you won't need a scoop. You'll feel the logistics snap into place. The blackout dates, the hush, the afterglow, long before the first official photo lands. So here's the filter to keep. Believe what they say, label the rest as rumor, and remember that the best stories in their life are the ones we get a little late. Now tell me, what would convince you it's happening? The hotel blackout, a license filing, or the moment their closest friends go off grid at the same time?